do it again. It was a great performance against the Cleveland Browns. No Philly 500. He can't come aboard. And we will have Mike Golick with us at 5:30 Eastern time. We'll get Mike's thoughts on week 1 of the National Football League. But let's bring up Zander Krause now. 365 does a great job with John and them dudes. How you doing, brother?
Sales, what's going on, man? Thanks for slotting me in a little bit early today.
What did you make of what I said about some of the things about Jalen Hurts and the motion that and again, Zander, did you hear that clip I played?
Yeah, replay it for me real quick.
Okay.
If you have it handy.
I do. And I thought it was interesting because this is kind of what I saw on the all 22 here. Okay. So this was on Get Up. And they broke down Jalen Hurts' play against the Packers, and they were talking about motion. And this is what I've been saying about it, but it was good to hear someone else break it down. Here we go.
His precision. He was 0 for 5 on tight window throws, which means his target had fewer than a yard of separation from the defender. One of those was those 3 turnovers are tied for the most in a game in his career. So we gave Hawk a little assignment. We said, Hawk, I want you to study the tape of Jalen Hurts in week 1 and show me exactly what you see. And I think you found a very interesting line of delineation.
The way that Kellen Moore deployed pre-snap motion helped Jalen Hurts significantly. So here's the touchdown to Saquon Barkley. What you're going to see, they do a little shift. They're going to send the receiver in an orbit motion on a play action wheel concept with 2 posts to the front side. Mm-hmm. Now, what this does is it shifts the Packers linebackers over and gives Saquon Barkley this edge. Obviously, great throw, but incredible play made by Saquon Barkley that not very many running backs can do. Here's the interception where it's just straight static, line up and run it. And Jalen Hurts has problems seeing the field and making those decisions. He made some bad decisions when there was no pre-snap motion because the pre-snap motion allows him to stretch the defenses horizontally.
So this is kind of what we said here, and this is kind of what you said on play designs. We even kind of brought this up on the post-game show that when there was motion, that play that Barkley had, what was the one thing we were all saying? One of the things that made that play so exceptional was AJ and Devontae moving the backers and the safeties around so that there was that open lane going down the sidelines. Now, I disagree. I think that was a nice throw down the sideline and was a tremendous play by Barkley, but just lining up Zander and sitting back and sitting in a 7-step drop, he still has the same issues until he sees better development. Now, what also I think this leads to, and what this is going to lead to is this. Kellen Moore has to keep evolving the offense weekly because that can become predictable. When I see motion, you know what that means to me? Okay, you're trying to move somebody. You're trying to move the linebackers or you're trying to move the safeties so that you're going to have Raheem Morris this weekend countering that when you see them run motion. So this is going to be a chess game each and every single week until Jalen gets better at just being a pure pocket passer, which he is not yet. And that was on display. And when you watch the over 22, the all 22, you can see exactly what that guy is talking about and what I've been saying. Do you agree with it?
I agree with you, but I don't view it as a negative thing like you do.
It's not. I don't know.
No, but you're associating the motion part of it with Jalen's deficiencies instead of just saying motion helps Jalen. Let's continue to do it so that.
No, I said for the first hour until he gets more reps and until he gets better at that, he's going to. And I said this, Zander, with more reps, he's going to get better at it.
Yeah,
they're helping him.
Even when he does get better at it, are you insinuating they should get rid of the motion because he's better at it?
No. I'm insinuating until he gets better as a drop back guy. Keep helping him, get him more reps.
Yeah.
Look, this is going to be a process for him and Kellen's impact. Remember what you said? You think Kellen Moore was the right coordinator for him. I said I wasn't sure. You're right. He is. Because you know what he did? He created space for him to make passes in the game on Friday.
He's going to make him a smarter quarterback. He's going to make him a smarter, more polished quarterback that's more versatile and can handle more of that pro-style offense. Like you said, he does need more reps in it. But, we talked about it a little bit earlier. That RPO looked terrible. It's almost like the league is either caught up to it or Jalen doesn't understand how to run it as effective anymore. It seems like every time he does it, he doesn't make the right decision versus in 22, every time he made the decision, it was the right one. So I think you're going to see less and less of that and more of the pro style offense coming. And look, if motion helps Jalen with that, I got no problem with it, man. I don't view it as a negative thing at all. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. And when you have the type of receivers that we have and adding in Saquon Barkley, as you pointed out on that one play with the touchdown that included motion, I mean, this is a recipe for success when you talk about the amount of players we have on the offense. I said yesterday on the show, I like Brock Purdy, and everybody's like, oh, how do you like Brock Purdy? Everybody, he's got so many good players around him. Well, in a way, Jalen has the same thing. Jalen has a great team completely around. I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy, but he doesn't need to be Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't need to be Tom Brady. So when you add this to his game and make him more polished in this regard, that's just going to mean he works in his the receivers around him better. He gets, Saquon Barkley more involved in the passing game. I think it makes us a better overall offense, and, it raises our ceiling on what we can be as an offense in the league.
I think Brock Purdy's further along as a quarterback, though, because he doesn't miss
styles.
throws.
They're much different styles, though.
He doesn't miss throws. He doesn't miss. He doesn't have poor decisions, and he attacks the middle of the field without mistakes.
Yeah, but that's partly because of how different styles of quarterback they are. Like if you go your whole life,
he's a drop back.
Well, that's because he's never had the ability to run like Jalen, right? So in a way, and I don't mean this in an overall negative way, but in a way, Jalen's athletic prowess has slowed his development as a quarterback in the way you're speaking about it. Because in high school and in college, even through his time in Oklahoma, he's always been so much better of an athlete than everybody else on the field that he could make it happen with his legs. Now in the NFL, he's gotten better and better and better at the passing game, but he needed to. You go back to Brock Purdy's college game, he wasn't running, which means he had to become a better thrower of the football quicker, faster, earlier in his career. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but this is now the first time that Jalen has really had to work on the passing game. And he's proven he's getting better and better at it, which I think is a great thing. But, you can view it as in a way, what made him so great early in his career is something that kind of took him a little bit longer to get better at in his NFL career, just because he never had to worry about it. He could bail himself out of so many plays in college because of his legs, even early in his career in the NFL. He didn't have to be that great passer because his legs were so elite, and I'm not saying they're not now, but the league is a little bit caught up to him. This is a different game now, and it's forced him to become a better thrower of the football, a better passer, a more pro-style approach. And that's why I like the Kellen Moore.
Which he's not there yet, though.
It's not fully there, but it's not. I mean, he's not Daniel
He's not
Jones.
Brock Purdy. He's not Brock Purdy efficient.
No,
Brock Purdy 71. Brock Purdy 71% and threw for 4,200 yards.
I like Brock Purdy. Why are you saying I don't like Purdy?
He got to a Super Bowl.
Huh?
He got to a Super Bowl too. I mean, we're not
Jalen
talking about a guy here that's not a good player. He had 100 less attempts than Hurts, and he was one of the most efficient guys in the league. You know why? Because the guy's a better pocket passer than him.
I know. I never denied that. But you're speaking like Jalen is way far out on the pocket passing game.
I don't think he's very good.
He's not Daniel Jones. He's not some of these quarterbacks that don't have any business being a starting QB in the NFL. Jalen is still right there. Is he not yet elite in terms of being a pocket passer? Yeah, I would agree with that. He's not there yet, but he's continuing to make strides forward.
You know why this is important? Yeah, I'll tell you why this is important, because this is what the Eagles want. The Eagles want him to be a proficient passer in the pocket.
Yeah, but he's not.
They're not looking. That 22 team, I'll tell you what, when you watch the All-22 right now and you go back and you watch
I watched it, yeah.
I'll tell you what, you see, the only thing that resembles the 22 offense is Hurts' 13 carries. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't want that anymore. They don't want him on pace for 220 carries. That's not what they're looking for.
No,
they're looking for him to be – that's right, because you know why? It's as productive as that offense is, it's a dangerous offense. I want to show you something else, and I brought this up with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had Greg Roman when he won the MVP award and led the NFL in touchdown passes in 17. You know what Baltimore decided to do? The offense is not evolving. They fired him. And they brought in the new guy, and they put him in there. And what they did was they evolved him again, and they're trying to evolve him even more into being a better passer. My problem with Lamar is Lamar's never going to be a better passer. No, I don't believe that guy
is a much better passer than
completely.
Lamar.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. And he is a better. By the way,
I mean, Lamar has a big arm. Lamar can throw the ball well, but he doesn't. He's not pinpoint. He's not accurate. When Jalen is able to step into a throw, for the most part, he's pretty accurate of a quarterback. Now, that's why I believe the upside as a passer is there. You know, and Kadir checks in, and I agree. You know, he says, "Why change who he is?" Kadir, I don't really view it like that, because you're not trying to change who he is. I think you're trying to evolve who he is, because the NFL is constantly evolving and changing. And the 22 offense that worked and made him an MVP candidate in that year is not going to be the offense that works every single year. So when you evolve who he is and add what Sileo is talking about with becoming a more proficient passer and a better, pocket passer, you're going to make him more versatile and harder to defend. So I agree you shouldn't change who he is, but I don't view it as that. I view it as adding to his game, adding to what he can be in the league, and I think he's shown great strides forward. Does he have things to clean up? Without a doubt. Those turnovers, not good. I see our man who is one of our newest members checks in, Justo Munoz. He says, how the hell do we clean up these turnovers? More incorrect yet. I don't really put them on Kellen Moore at all. I thought they were bad decisions on the quarterback. And I think that's part of the things that's going to be the learning curve, what you're talking about, right? When you're a pocket passer, right, it's more reps. Jalen is so used to playing hero ball because his legs always allowed him to be the hero and he could get away with it. Now you're playing hero ball and trying to throw, and you're throwing back across your body. You're throwing off your back foot into the middle of the field. He's going to learn really quickly. They're too fast. The defenses are too fast in the NFL. He can't do that. So I think he's going to get that out of there. I think he's going to learn and evolve from those things. But that's some of the stuff I think you're right that you're talking about where, it's more reps. He's got to learn that stuff. Reps. But I'll tell you what.
Reps in the offense. And overall, I'll tell you what McNabb said today too on IP, goes, Hurts is playing hero ball. He's got to give what the defense gives him, okay? You can't
I'll tell you what,
play
overall,
like that.
Sills, you're right. And McNabb is right. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with where he is as a pocket passer compared to where he was when he came into the league. Remember, this is a guy that I've been watching since his freshman year of college. I don't want to sound like I'm being too hard on him. He was not a good thrower of the football.
That's why Tua was.
And I've been watching, right? And that's why. But even that freshman year that I watched, I was at every single game as an Alabama student. Not all the way games, but I watched obviously every single game. I was a student at the school with him. He was not a good thrower. He won those games. Sometimes he had 12, 13 passing attempts. When I look at him now, I almost don't believe it. I'm like, what? Jalen Hurts has gotten that much better at throwing the football.
He looks like that kid they got now at Alabama, Milroe.
Yeah, Milroe. He's gotten a lot better. Yeah, but I think Jalen's even a lot better than he is with throwing the ball. So, I'm impressed. I think with where he is, he's still a young guy. Remember, he just turned 26, I think. So we still got a long ways to go with Jalen Hurts. And I think you bring up a good point. I think what you're saying is correct. My projection, though, is that he's going to get to where we want him to get to. And ultimately, when you add AJ, Devontae, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, even Kenny Gainwell, and a top 5 offensive line, dude, if he gets this thing working, if he gets rid of some of those turnovers,
it's going to take reps.
I know, but that, how else do you get it, right? You got to get reps. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but how much time? Maybe 6 games, 8 games, 10 games?
Oh, I think it's going to be more than that. I think he's got to get
this offense, Sills, if he gets this thing going, man, if he gets rid of some of those mistakes, this offense, it's going to be impossible to stop.
It's the decision-making that really kind of worries me more. And here, get this too. The reason he's late on his throws is because of indecision thinking. I mean, it's holding the ball too long. Because you know why? He doesn't trust what Bob said in here. He doesn't trust it, Zander, with his eyes yet. And he's got to trust the process. And I hate to use that Josh Harris line, but he really does have to trust the process in there, because I'll tell you one thing. There is no doubt I was watching the same thing those guys on Get Up were watching. When you see how the motion has helped him, and dude, the reason Barkley had that ability to make that play down the sideline was, one, his great athleticism. I think it was a fine throw by Hurts too, but the ability of Devontae and AJ to move those people around and that defense opened that up. It wasn't Hurts that opened up that play. It was the players on the field. The receivers in the motion are making him a better player. That's my only concern, Zander, is that the quarterback needs to be making those guys better, not the scheme.
Yeah, but they're developing them now. You know, in a way, they're developing.
They are developing them now.
And look,
there's
a couple comments here I want to bring up that are really good comments from our viewers. We have, I always say, the best viewers on YouTube because they're actually very smart people and they give great comments on the show, unlike you go on other channels and it's just not that. So let me find two comments here. I have two comments I want to bring up. Shoot, I just lost the one. I'll find it, though. So JM brings up a good point. He says nobody was developing Hurts. They were masking his deficiencies. I would agree with that early in Jalen's career and even early in his Alabama career. And now that's why I liked Kellen Moore. I said it all summer. Now they're developing him into a more versatile overall quarterback in the NFL. Great comment, JM. Bob Brown checks in. This is money. So he says, Sills, Hurts' athletic ability allows him to get out of trouble, while Purdy's QB skills prevents him from getting into trouble. If Hurts' quarterback skill gets even close to his athleticism, he will be deadly. And he couldn't be more true. He couldn't be more accurate with that. If Jalen's game develops as much as we're hoping it develops, and you still have those legs and you have these assets, we're going to be the best offense in the league for years. I mean, you're just not going to be able to take away everything that we have. And as a defensive coordinator, it's an absolute nightmare. And that's why I've said, even with what the problems that Kellen Moore has had, you listen to a Dallas fan talk about Kellen Moore. They're like, I didn't like him with Dak. That was a different game. Dak was a developed, polished pocket passer.
Remember who his coach
Kellen
was?
Moore is turning Jalen Hurts into a more versatile, more polished overall quarterback. He doesn't need to do everything. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And when this thing, if we see this thing through and let it develop a little bit, don't jump on him after every single game. I think it's going to be a nasty offense, man. By week 10, week 12, I think this thing is going to be humming. And it's going to be, hopefully everybody stays healthy. Obviously, that's a big caveat in the NFL. But I mean, I think Kellen Moore is a perfect fit in terms of developing him like you're talking about. And it really could be scary. I mean, even for somebody proclaimed as an Eagles hater, like they all call you in the chat, you got to recognize how good this thing could be if Jalen can get there.
I started the program off today by saying this is not really a rip. This is just about, like, I tell you this, Zander, I think your chances of winning the Super Bowl are 2025, not this year. I think by the time
the only thing I differ on with you on is I think this thing could get further quicker. I think defensively, you're going to have a much better defense in 25 than you do this year. But I think with what you saw in week 1, with some of the players you've seen step up, if this offense can get going by week 2, I think this could be a Super Bowl year. Remember, Sills, sometimes it's about getting hot at the right time in the NFL.
It is. And you want to be that at December.
Exactly. And you want to be that after Thanksgiving, going into going into the new year. If this team gets this thing, you could view the whole first 10 weeks of our season as
developmental.
Develop and learn. Figure it out, everybody. Use these 10 weeks to try things, throw your interceptions, do whatever you have to do, and come out of it 500. If you get hot and learn what you need to learn by week 12, week 13, going into those late weeks of the year, I mean, this team could be very hard to beat, a very tough matchup for any team come the playoffs, and that could be a good thing for this team this year.
I want to get over to Vic Fangio now. And boy, I'll tell you, if you don't want to hear an answer out of that guy's mouth, don't ask a question that you don't want to hear, because, boy, when he made this comment about Bryce Huff.
Oh, man, was that tough?
That was tough to listen to, because my problem with it was he was asked, he goes, hey, how come the other guys got maybe more or just as much? And then Vic goes, well, it's the rotation. And then he was asked, he goes, well, He hasn't separated himself from the other guys.
Well, what does he have to do to play more? And Vic said separate himself from the other guys.
Can you imagine right now the position that Howie's in? Think about this here, Zander. The 30th pick in the draft has given you nothing. A $51 million acquisition is giving you nothing. Brandon Graham is giving you more than those two dudes. Remember, he was the heir apparent to Reddick, was Huff. Huff has made two teams look like shit in 1 week. Hey, financially, no doubt he's burning money in a trash can. But that makes the Eagles look bad on the transition with Huff, and that makes Joe Douglas and them dudes look bad on moving and not getting a contract done. I've never seen one guy have so much damage for himself and two other teams all at the same time. I'll tell you this, man. It's you couldn't have a worse start to your Eagle career than what Bryce Huff has had. And that is the fact that we saw nothing in the exhibition season. We saw nothing in game one. And I got to tell you, you got a coordinator going like this. He's not separated himself from the rest of the group. You got a 47-year-old defensive end that's separating himself to a point where he's in the room with you. Brandon Graham, you were right, Zander. I was like this, $10 million for Graham. I'm not there. Thank God he's on the team. Thank God he's on the team.
Yeah. I've always known that. Brandon Graham still has a lot left in the tank.
Vic said it too. He goes, that guy's a good ball player. He's
a great ball player. And he's still I saw somebody in the chat, Brandon Graham is a wasted roster spot. That is a joking comment. No way. He is contributing to this team. And I knew he would. You know, that's why I never knocked the signing of bringing him back and giving him the tour.
I didn't think
no, you're right. Look,
here's the thing.
Here's the thing I'll say on Huff. Stills, I hear what you're saying. And do I have the concerns that you have? Yes. Am I going to sound the alarm bells after one game? No, I can't. Not on a slippery field. Not on all. I hate that excuse. I said to John this morning, I'm like, can we stop talking about a slippery field? I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about football. So I'm not using that as an excuse, but we're one game into this thing, Sills. You're talking like we're a year into the contract.
Yeah, but your coordinator's saying this.
I know, but Vic
this
also
is not
said,
an opinion.
He said the same stuff about Dean in the summer. Maybe it's a motivation tactic. Maybe it's Vic playing old school coaching, trying to get the most out of his player.
Do you know how Vic? You know,
am
how
I
Vic
concerned?
Motivated?
Yes, but I'm not gonna write him off.
Vic motivated Dean? You know how Vic motivated Dean's the starter now over White. That's the motivation. You know what you got out of Vic talking about Huff? He hasn't separated himself from the rest of the group. Guess what, man? I mean, I hear him talking about Quinyon Mitchell, and he's raving about him, and people I don't think understand that guy's not raving. He's raving about him. And let me lead you to this point here, Zander. I think they got a decision to make here, and I think he's better in the slot. And I heard you this morning say you think he's better on the corner, okay? Well, guess what? This weekend or Monday night, you're playing against a tight end and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and that Drake London kid. I'm not concerned with Drake London as much as I am with Bijan and with Pitts. And those guys are going to attack the middle of the field. I'd rather have my more athletic and my bigger guy in Quinyon Mitchell in a position to make more plays. I stick him out wide, and you're going to put Vontae Maddox on them guys? No freaking way. CJ's going to bring down Pitts or Avante's going to bring down Bijan Robinson? That's a mismatch. Now, if you put Mitchell in there, okay, Isaiah Rodgers being injured, this is what I say to you. If Rodgers was healthy, Mitchell would have been in the slot, and Isaiah would have been on the numbers if he was available to play. Because I think Vic wants him to be in a position to make more plays because I think he thinks he's limited because of the Cooper DeJean injury back there until they get that guy up to speed. Yeah. It's a tough decision what he's got to do there, man. Do you sacrifice the numbers or do you sacrifice big plays across the middle of the zone?
No, you're right. Look, I like Quinyon on the outside because I think overall it gives you the better long-term play at a more important position, I think. So that's why I like Quinyon on the outside. I do hear what you're saying, but remember Cooper DeJean is coming up, and I think I don't know. I haven't seen it yet from Cooper, but I think they're a little bit higher just based on what John's been saying. John, look, Not everybody likes John McMullen. I get it. I know, but John does always seem to have the inside track on what the organization is thinking. He keeps telling me at that slot position, Cooper DeJean's coming. Cooper DeJean's coming. Cooper DeJean's coming. Before the season, he told me, Quinion on the outside. Quinion on the outside. Quinion on the outside. Before the season, he says, Nakobe Dean at starting linebacker. Nakobe Dean at starting linebacker. Everybody called John nuts. Everybody said, you're a Devin White hater. John seems to be right when he talks about the way the organization is thinking. So it's tough for me to, make a decision here on what they think they should do. I think they're higher on Cooper DeJean in the slot. I think that's going to be the move in here in a couple of weeks. And we're going to see what they're going to do. But overall, I want to see Queen on that outside, man. I'm good with it on the outside, but I do hear what you're saying.
He was also very disappointed in the tackling, and he was also disappointed in the conditioning of the guys in the second half of the football game too. So, I mean, the tackling, you know what though, Zander? If you go back, and I pulled up the Atlanta and Pittsburgh 22, and I watched it. Man, there were a ton of missed tackles in that thing too. Then you get the Cowboys and the Cleveland game. There were missed tackles. I think this is a trend in the league in the first part of the season here because of new rules. The hip drop tackle was taken out. I think it's tougher to get guys on the ground. And I think, again, because you know what you don't do? What's the one thing in camp you don't do? You don't take guys to the ground. You don't practice tackling and taking people really to the ground, except for a couple organized team scrimmages. You really don't practice tackling. And that was on display, in my opinion, in the first week. Along with the poor quarterback play, I think that's a little overreacting. I think they'll write that up and they'll write that. But I think the tackling is going to be a progress that's going to take or at least half the season for a lot of teams and I think the Eagles are in that conversation as being in a group where they're going to have to improve their angles and their tackle angles.
Yeah, like I said yesterday, September is the new preseason in the NFL. It's just a reality. That's how it is. It's funny, though. I think that actually had some effect on Jalen Hurts with the interception. Like, if you watch that first interception, remember, he just went through training camp where you can get rushed, but you don't get hit. And if you watch him on that back foot, it's almost like he wasn't used to getting hit. And you know what I mean? And that was early in the game. And he's on his back foot in his own end zone. And he kind of just like throws up a flutter ball that was very easily intercepted. So I think that had a big effect on Jalen Hurts kind of having to remember and get back into game speed of like, these dudes are coming to hit me now. It's not like they're coming to play two-hand touch on me. So I think that had something to affect on Jalen Hurts. But to your tackling point, no doubt. I mean, look, the whole NFL, this is happening across. It's not just a Philly thing. It's the whole NFL. And, it's a longer period. And, like we just said, we care more about football after Thanksgiving. I think a lot of teams do too, and they stopped caring about early in the year. And the other thing that Nick Sirianni is right on is they're 4-0 in the openers, dude. Like, he's not going to change what they do in the offseason now. He's just
want availability.
They want availability. That's what they value. And I don't have to agree with every part of it, but I can understand it from an objective point of view. And so I'm not going to knock it. When you're 4-0 in season openers under Nick Sirianni, they won again versus a tough team. And, you go out of there with a win. So I think they're fine with where they are and what they do. But you're right about the tackling, man. It's definitely an issue, especially early in their year.
Final question for you. Got to give you kudos again here. How about your boy Johnny Wilson? I'll tell you what, he got limited plays in 10, but if you watched him,
he got a good role, man.
I was blowing dudes up in the run game.
Well, it's good, man. He's
got a role on this team, dude. He's got a role. They like him.
And I think once he gets a little bit more acclimated to the speed of the NFL, I think that role could expand to be able, to include him in some passing downs here. He's such a big target. And I think when we talk about the assets on the offensive side of the ball, we've talked about on this segment for 20 minutes, but what are you going to cover Johnny Wilson? Who's covered? Think about it. You got AJ out there, you got Devontae, you got Goddard. If you got Johnny Wilson as who's covering him? A slot corner, a safety, a linebacker? They're not going to be able to stick with him. Now, I'm not saying Johnny Wilson's going to be some world beater. I'm just saying in certain instances, when you need a first down or you need a target in the red zone or whatever it is, you need a couple yards to move the sticks. I think he could become a part of the offense in that regard, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. Hopefully, he can kind of do it though, and he's not just, you know how it is every year, man. There's a everybody loves the big, tall receiver, you know. So hopefully it's not that. But you're right, the tape was good on him. I watched the All-22. He was tossing guys, man. He was physical out there. So hopefully he can stay healthy. I think he's going to have a bigger role even as we move along the year here.
Well, Zander did a really nice job here with. Remember, if you guys are in the Philly area there with the Wawa, and you go over to Wawa there, and you get the milk carton, and you get the Bryce Huff Mama's Milk or the Similac. Hey, don't forget to pick up a 6-pack of the bitter milk here, because
is this the milk you're talking about?
Yeah, right there, baby. Hey, there it is, right there. You want some bitter Mama's Milk? There it is, right there. Milk carton, Bryce Huff. Hey,
That's
it's at a local Wawa near you, man. It's a bitter taste. Hey,
that thing is expired, Sills, man. They need a new batch of the milk with Bryce Huff on the label, man.
Hey, don't eat that shit also with hot dogs or Krellers.
Oh, man.
It's not going to be good. Not at all. Zander, great stuff, my friend. You and John keep up the great work. By the way, folks, do not forget our pre- and post game on Monday here on JAKIB Sports 2. We look forward to having all you guys. Zander, great stuff. Where are we on the like list right now, brother? I'd like to get that thing.
We're probably doing pretty good. It's been a great show. 150 likes we're up to. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Josh, I'm not sure what you're listening to. We did not call anybody terrible after week 1. Appreciate everybody, though, man. It's been great. It's been a great week on the channel with the season starting up. The support has been incredible. These guys make this channel happen, so I love each and every single one of them, even if they don't want to hear that. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for what you do for JAKIB. Sills, great show as always, brother. I'll catch you all tomorrow on Birds 365 and the National Football Show.
Thank you, Zander. Appreciate it, brother. Great stuff as always. Make sure you catch up with Zander and John McMullen on Birds 365. When we come back, I'm going to give you a little preview of Atlanta and what you have to do versus the Falcons. Before I do that, how many people in here think that this is going to be an easy ball game against the Falcons? I want to see how many people believe that this is going to be an easy game Monday night. Dazza says no. Dell says easy. Okay? Nope. It should be, but it's not. I'm more apt to believe this right here. Where is that? It should be, but it's not. I'm with you on that. Okay. Hey, yeah, that's very true. That's very true, too. How about this one? Okay. I'm there with that take. Okay, I am. That Crowley, you're right on. Right? Atlanta's got talent. Okay? Okay? We never blow Kurt out. Interesting. Okay? All right. I'm going to, and then you tell me if you agree with me on some of the things I'm going to say about Atlanta. And I'll tell you if I think that game is going to be a problem on Monday. By the way, if you really go back and watch the Pittsburgh-Atlanta game, it clearly was Kirk Cousins. I thought there were other things that they did very well in that game. I'll explain. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget, we're going to talk a little Cowboys with Mark Holmes. That'll be at 4:30. And I'm going to tell him flat out, I'll bury the lead here with you guys. I'm not sold on the Cowboys like everyone else is already. Week 1, traditional Dallas Cowboy bullshit. I don't believe they're beating the Saints. Okay? So I'll bury the lead with you. So we're going to get him on, but that is your competition in the NFC East this year. Dallas had a really good game against Cleveland. That's a really good defense. Okay? That's a good defense. And then we're going to have Mike Golick join us at 5:30 Eastern time, the former Eagle, and we'll talk to him about week 1 of the National Football League. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
He's blocked well and tries to